Now introduce our next speaker who's coming up, and that is Merryl Simpson. And as Deb has said, Merryl's going to be introducing something a little bit what for some of us is left of field, but basically it's how when you put the two things into one thought, which is going online and going outside, it seems a little antithetical. However, I'm going to let her tell you all about it.
Thank you, Kate. That's totally true. If somebody had have asked me a couple of years ago if I would be doing nature connection sessions online, I would have said, no way, I can't do that. Like, my mantra is about how can I disconnect from technology in order to reconnect? So for me, it wasn't something that I was ever planning to do. And as often, some of these wonderful things that happen in our life are totally organic and unplanned. That's exactly what happened. So it was the Soul Advisor community actually that requested that I share a nature connection session with the team online. And my first feeling, I remember feeling the whoosh of adrenaline, which was the yes in me. And at the exact same time, feeling the fear, like, hang on, how? Like, I'd said yes before I even had, cognitively understood how I could translate the work that I've been doing for 16 years in nature to the online modality. So you can see the forest behind me here. I live in Jinnabara country, and that's in West Brisbane. And I'm very blessed and humbled to be listening to these trees and to the birds outside and to be on this land. And I guess for context, maybe Amy, if you pop the next slide on. Yeah, for context, those are my feet. This is the land here, the water. I'm at the headwaters of a beautiful creek that's here. And to put it in context, this is my work. I have this incredible property that I'm the current custodian of, alongside all the previous custodians, which I always feel deeply here. And when I walk this country here and I put my feet in the water and I slow down and I listen to the land, I feel all the other people who have ever been here doing that with me. So this is what I offer. I offer people a chance to come into nature, to slow down, to remember their true nature. So how do I do that online? That was my question. This is an embodied experience. So Amy, if you wouldn't mind putting the next slide on. Yeah, so these couple of pictures just show, that sort of full body engagement with nature, like the senses are active. There's participation, there's dialogue, there's also stillness and deep listening in the other image. And my sessions with clients have always been, very organic and very also responsive to what's happening in the immediate environment that we're both sharing. So hang on, here I am thinking about going online. We're going to be in different environments. I can't control what nature's going to offer them. I can't control what nature they even have around them. How do I still facilitate this process of deep connection, not only between us in the client practitioner relationship, but also in the connection to country or connection to the land on which we're both on. So the first kind of way I remember thinking about that was that we're talking about bringing the modality to the online realm, to the WWW, the World Wide Web. And straight away for me, I went, hang on, there's the Wood Wide Web, the interconnected mycelium network, the fungal threads that link lands, that link trees. It's like an energy system on its own. There's data running through that Wood Wide Web. There's nutrients, there's support, there's connection. And so that was my anchor, first of all, was that we are embodied in different places, myself and my client, but we're emplaced. We're both emplaced on the land that we're in. So we can embody the place that we're in, and the place that we're in has a shared connection because essentially it's all the same. We're on Mother Earth. And, we've talked a lot already in this session, and I've received a lot. Thank you to the other presenters for your way of experiencing both your client relationships and also your connection to country. And it's that sense of being emplaced in nature together that felt like it was the linking place. So then I went down this process of thinking, well, when I'm here with clients on the land here, nature, it's not like I'm the key practitioner or the facilitator, because nature is actually the practitioner. Nature is the facilitator, and I'm like the guide. Or I think, you know, Jason beautifully used the word conduit before, and there's some of that happening. So it's not about me, it's about nature, and it's about the client. So that gave me a confidence in a way to step away a little bit and to not control the process so much. And I did notice there was a lot of me that wanted to control the time frame, because I think I thought, oh, we're online, you know, we've got a limited amount of time together. You know, I want to make sure in the work that I've done that typically the sessions are an hour or an hour 15. You know, I want to make sure that they receive something in that time. So the tendency, of course, well, I'm not sure if it would be for you, but for me and who I am, it's to pack things into it, to make sure that, you know, there's bang for the buck. There's an experience. They're getting something from it. And I think initially the way that I approached that was because they're not here in the land that I'm on, I want to make sure they're getting the most out of it. So, you know, how do I fill this time with them in a way that's really supporting them the whole time? But what I've learned through doing the sessions is actually that less is more. And I've really enjoyed sort of the aspect of stepping away a little bit more from feeling like all the time in the space has to be filled. And I think that's an edge with online connection, because when we're in a Zoom call or a meeting, it's often a lot of talking. And, you know, sometimes there's breakout groups, but it's a lot of dialogue and community. And so what I was trying to create in my online sessions was the chance for that, shared community with each other, but also community with the land as well. So to create space for there to be a breakout where I still hold the space energetically and on the screen, while a client, you know, gets to move away from the screen and gets to go and share time with whatever nature they have available to them. And that's the other thing too, which I don't know if I've mentioned, is that of course I can't control what nature my clients have. And I've worked with somebody who has a pot plant on their back deck, 5 floors up in a Sydney apartment, and a view about 100 meters away to a big tree that they can see. And so for them, that's their nature connection. And a surprise element, I think, for me has been that through doing it this way, through adjusting my own expectations, oh, hang on, but they need to come to this land. It's beautiful here. It's a forest and it's wild, and, you know, all the birds will come and say hello and magical things will happen. But adjusting that expectation, like the magic always comes. Like when we listen to nature, the magic always comes, as long as we create the space for it. And with that intention, there is always a message that we receive. And that's been a real blessing for me to see how that has happened in my online calls. Even though I've never been to their environment, I don't know what the birds are they're talking to, but I always feel there's a sense that they receive something that they need in the sessions, and that also, there's like a takeaway for them at the end that's almost like a belonging to the land on which they live. And for that reason, I really have encouraged acknowledging country always at the start of my sessions, because of course that's the truth. It's the truth of the land that I'm on, that my client's on. And when we spend that time acknowledging country together, we're acknowledging the truth that exists in wherever we are, and also the truth that exists in us too, that, you know, we are all innately connected to nature. And by taking that time to really, you know, various ways to do it, but to really take that time to slow the body down and to be in resonance with the pace of the place that you're on, and to consider all the people who have ever moved through that land and who have also felt the healing energy from that land. To me, that's such a connecting point. So in addition, Amy, if you just flick to the next slide, please. Yeah, you can just have a little read of this. I mean, most of us are very aware of the scientific research that has now proven what Indigenous cultures have always known and what, you know, we as humans innately understand. But these are some of the benefits of nature connection. And it doesn't have to be a long time. All of this starts to happen within minutes of entering a green space. So for you as a practitioner, perhaps if you're considering going online, or perhaps if you already are and you're doing work with your clients, I encourage any way that you can bring this modality of nature connection in, your clients will receive benefit. And if there isn't a forest view from, you know, behind them or outside of them, if there isn't a tree to be looking at, but to encourage maybe that there's a pot plant that they honor, that they water every day, that sits beside them near their computer, you know, that there is life in that, and to come into connection and resonance with what nature we do have around us feels like a really grounded and healing place to be. So also I wanted to say that just a little story of somebody that I worked with who was the day I worked with them, we'd planned to go outside, as in I always usually share from this place where I am now. So there's a, you know, a beautiful nature view behind me. Not that I'm engaged, I'm inviting them to engage in this nature particularly. I'm inviting them to engage in their land. But yeah, we were on this particular day where she had planned to be outside in her backyard, in the wild of her backyard. It was windy and howling winds and raining, and there was just no way she could, you know, get outside into the backyard. And, you know, of course, my instinct was, oh, do we need to cancel the session because the nature's not so available? But I just, yeah, again, I really want to reinforce the trust element that's really come through for me with this online modality, is to trust that, yeah, there's always something present that the client will receive. And so the client was actually remained inside and was looking out at her backyard through the window. And in this time of, I set up an inquiry and I held space on Zoom while my client went and enacted the inquiry and connected to nature, did some deep listening. And when she came back from that, and it was literally, she turned around and looked out the window and focused her attention on a plant that grew, that she was always drawn to, but she'd never really had the time to acknowledge it and to sit and to just watch it. So she did that. And there was some inquiry and some questions and some reflection that came afterwards. But her connection to that plant on that day, and since in the weeks following, she sent me maybe 3 different photos of that plant and how it's changed and what that means to her now as a result. And so what I'm feeling is that, you know, because we innately have this connection to nature, we belong to nature, it doesn't take much for that belonging to come back in. And for the client, that belonging now means everything. Every time she walks past that plant, it's like the plant has become her healer. Perhaps it takes the place of further healing she needs to go and receive, or it's become her healer. So nature as healer is something I really, really want to emphasize. So just to finish off, because I think I'm pretty close to probably time being up. But Amy, if you could go to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah, there's my beaming face. And that beaming face photo was after the first online session I did. I was just so excited that, you know, to feel that the strength that it actually worked and that it was received well. So I want to give you that excitement that, yes, you can do it. And of course, I'm here to support. If you're interested in talking more around the concept of the power of acknowledging country, I'm a non-Indigenous person of this land, but we're all Indigenous to some land, and innately we all have that connection to nature within us. And I'm very passionately an advocate for cultural appreciation rather than appropriation. And so, yeah, if you want any more conversation around acknowledging country as a way to bring the land on which your client is and you together, and also more conversation around how nature can be your co-facilitator, perhaps maybe the key facilitator, and you're the support, I'd love to talk to you more about that. And yeah, enjoy the process of moving your work online. Come and find me on Soul Advisor if you'd like to work more with me. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, Merryl, thank you very much. I always love listening to you talk. It always, my whole system just comes back a little bit to country. So thank you very much. And I think that invitation for people with all kinds of modalities to actually operate in a space that involves nature and to emphasize that space for their clients is just so important, and so almost where everybody's headed these days anyway. And so it's great to know that there's somebody in our community with that experience of 16 years and the skills. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate.